So this is a square that's found before 79 AD in Pompeii, and it's made up of 3 palindromes. Palindromes are, for example, in English, race car would be a palindrome. It can be read forwards or backwards. The number 2002, 2002 can be read either way. Same here, ROTAS, ROTAS. So it's all, so this is 1, opera, opera. And, of course, the cross that's in the middle, which is tenant. And we're going to start with that cross in the middle. That cross is very important in the deciphering of this square. Teneo in Latin is the word for hold. So if we were to put an O over here, that would make teneo. So teneo is holding, and holding has to do in English with words like that come from the Latin, so it's a Latin root. It has to do with tendon. It has to do with holding, tension. It has to do with also tenuous. So it may not be a permanent kind of thing. All of these meanings are what pile on top of this cross. So we're, in a sense, what this cross is saying is that we're held, we're bound. And at the same time, the cross has a wonderful center here. And so if we take the T's out, we get this central square. In Greek, hen, and we have the Greek word henosis, the study of oneness, of the one. So we have the one, and then in the middle here, the N, which symbolizes in Latin non, or non. So we have one, and at the center of oneness is nothingness. So we could put it in maybe contemporary terms to say the middle is empty, emptiness, and the En is fullness. So the fullness of things and the emptiness of things are right at the center of this cross. And that's part of the world that we live in. It functions in terms of time, in terms of all kinds of things. En means fullness because it's one. So one includes everything. And N is emptiness, and it includes the absence of everything. So you have fullness and emptiness, almost like a beating heart here. So it's a sort of wonderful center. And then we have, if we bring in the T's, all of that's being held. All of that's being held together. In that holding together, we could use the term creation. And so this sort of image of this cross has to do with holding together one and empty. Now, if we want to go a little deeper, so we've talked a little bit about the Latin, the teneo, the holding, and the En in Latin meaning behold, and the En or in Greek being the one, and the non in Latin being nothingness, emptiness. So we have the void, if you want, and we have all of that which exists outside the void and actually probably comes from the void. So if we were to move into a little bit of Hebrew or Aramaic, we could take this ET out, and this ET is the etz. This is the letter Sade in Hebrew. The etz is the tree of life. And in the Garden of Eden, there were 2 trees, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, and that's the tree that Adam and Eve interacted with. But in the center of the garden, there's another tree, which is the tree of life, and that's the etz. That's the tree that is filled with a certain kind of energy. So if we start adding things, we're going to take this, what looks like a P out, And if we combine at the top line here, so the whole line would read ROTAS, right? We're going to just take these letters out. And if we just look at this, we get the Hebrew etz, the tree, and orot, the orot, oro, the or is light. So we get the energy of that form, this tree that's very popular in Kabbalah, called the Tree of Life, with 10 energy centers, the 10 orot that are the energy of the creation, if you wish, the energy that allows for the creation of everything. Orot is Hebrew and etz is Hebrew. It's very, very interesting. So what's also interesting is if we start to bring in the first couple of lines here of the ROTAS, and we can just move this out a bit, and we'll bring our P back. Now this P, in a sense, is in the code, and because it's code, you'll see why this is code. The P is a very good example. The P represents, in Greek, the letter rho, which is an R. It represents the letter F in Latin, which is PH, so it's a PH or F sound, and it's a P sound and a PH sound in Hebrew and in Aramaic. So what's very interesting is this this P, if we take a look at how it's actually pictured on the actual if you want graffiti put on the column in Pompeii, the row there, the letter R or the letter P, if you want to use the Latin, it would be the letter R in Greek. It represents a figure with a little foot on it, what looks like a little foot. And this was common in the ancient world. I'm going to bring out 3 keys. These are Roman keys. Actual. And these are actual keys. And you can see that they have something that looks just like this with a little foot on it. So, these keys are about 2,000 years old. Maybe this one is maybe a little older. And notice the X on this one. So they're sort of very interesting. So if we take the top row, we're going to discuss one other letter, and that's the letter T that's here. The letter T in the code, very simple code with letters. The letter T is also a D. And so we have the Greek word O-T-A-S, odos. Odos is the way. And so the way is made up, interestingly enough, of Alpha Omega, which is the Greek for beginning and end, or all and everything. Aleph Tav, which is the Hebrew for everything beginning to end. And we could even think of the S as a Z, because it is in some of the other squares. So you have everything from A to Z, and the row with the little foot is almost like a path, and that we enter the path of the way. So it right away gives us a lot of info in terms of what this square is all about. So if we bring back the ROTAS here, we can see here's the tree, here's the energies, the 10 fruits on the tree, and here is the, if you want, us, the initiate who is moving up onto the way And the way is very interesting because if we bring these blocks together, we get the way spiritually involves sitting, because the vowels can be any vowel, and that's the way Hebrew works. Hebrew works that you have the consonants are the most important, and the vowels can change depending how one wants to put together the root in terms of its meaning. So you have S-A, and we can have this as a D, E-O. Sadio, which is the Latin word to sit. I sit. So sad is sitting. And so we have here sitting, and we have here E-S-S-E. And we have the Greek word for a treasure house, Thes or us. Thes or us. And so Thes or us. Thes or us. So we have the thesaurus, or the treasure house. So the treasure house comprises the ability to move in this tree, right, and these energies in the tree on this side, and being able to sit in meditation, to sit and to be and to allow for the possibility of the energy of this square, this phenomenal set of palindromes, to open up inside, to open something up inside, to make a connection with something inner. And that inner is the nothingness and fullness, if you want, the N, the one, and the none, and the movement of this energy held in time, held into creation. And so that then leads to what we could call healing, a kind of spiritual healing. And we have that with the PH here, right? Raph, right? Raphael, if we want the angel of hearing. It's not mentioned here, but Rapha in Hebrew means to heal. So as a result of this process of sitting and allowing the possibility for something to open, something to arise, the meaning of the square starts to unfold itself. And we have everything repeated. If we bring the entire square together as a whole square, we can see the energies moving now in the square. And so if we were to take the entire square and give a translation of what is happening here, is ROTAS. Everything is moving, rotating. Opera, the complete work, everything, the works. Tenet, but it's being held. And this is the Greek letter that's used in words like atheist, meaning not believing in God. It's the alpha privative in Greek, and in the code this is used to create negatives. So here is everything moving, right? The opera, the whole works moving, but it's held together by the not moving. Right, the not moving. And this is interesting that you have the sitting here in the not moving. And that's it. That's being held by this energy of inner, if you want, light, the orot, and by the energy, if you want, of consciousness or awareness, of attention, etc. So the square is really a kind of mystical spiritual yantra, a visual that you can move around in and work with a number of very profound spiritual ideas, including oneness and fullness, the nature of creation, the idea of sitting and opening in a sitting, the idea of healing as a result of coming inward, and the idea of letting go of tension, letting go of any kinds of obstacles, things that we're holding on to. So not only is this about the creation, but it's also about various states. It can map out various states that are going on inside, various possibilities that are actually inside man. Inside a human being, and also revealing some of the potentialities, some of this possibility that exists within a human being. And so my fantasy with this square in Pompeii on the column is that somebody put this square up because there were a group of people, a group of disciples, a group of students that were going to be instructed using this square so that they could come in contact with some of this really profound knowledge that's contained in the square, and it's contained there alphabetically. This is all about an ancient, probably scribal tradition around the alphabet that was very secret and that was very protected. And now there's a possibility that we can take this apart and really use this knowledge in the modern world.